This is CBN NewsWatch.
Thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Mark Martin. FBI and local investigators continue to collect any remaining evidence following last Friday's deadly mass shooting in Virginia Beach. Building 2 of the city's municipal center still remains closed off to the public as city officials decide on an alternative location. George Thomas is following the latest on this story, and he joins us now. George.
Mark, Virginia Beach city officials say they are looking into other options as to, in a way to avoid employees from having to return to a place of carnage. Some families started holding funeral services today for the 12 people killed in the deadly rampage. By the way, an autopsy revealed that all but 3 of the 12 victims were shot in the head by the gunman. The attacker, 40-year-old Dwayne Craddock, went floor to floor of Building 2 last Friday, shooting his co-workers. He was finally killed in a gun battle with police. Authorities say they could have engaged the shooter much sooner, but couldn't since they didn't have the key card access to the second floor. Still, one of the survivors of the mass shooting, Melanie Coffey, released a statement late Wednesday thanking first responders. Coffey was one of 4 people injured during the shooting. She said, "To my friends, family members, co-workers, and the city of Virginia Beach who are offering compassion and support, I thank you. Your encouragement is helping me prepare for the next steps in recovery from this terrible crime." There are several community events and vigils being planned this weekend to honor the victims of the mass shooting. Among them, the city of Virginia Beach is holding a special event called VB Remembers. It takes place tonight at Rock Church in Virginia Beach. You can watch it live right here on the CBN News channel starting at 7:30 Eastern. Mark.
All right. Thank you, George, for that report.
You're welcome.
And if you'd like to help the victims, the families of the victims of Friday's tragedy, CBN's Operation Blessing is taking donations for them. 100% of your gift will go to the families to help them in their time of devastating need. President Trump is in France today, meeting with French President Emmanuel Macron. The 2 leaders sat down for talks to discuss topics including trade and defense relations.
A lot of people are anxious to see what we're going to be doing together because, as you know, we know what a lot of other people don't know. We're doing a lot together. And the relationship between you and I and also France and the United States has been outstanding. I don't think it's ever been maybe as good. It's been good sometimes and sometimes it hasn't been, but right now it's outstanding.
Trump arrived in the country this morning to take part in ceremonies marking the 75th anniversary of the D-Day landings. Macron and Trump attended a ceremony together at the Normandy American Cemetery. Macron says the best tribute to those who had fought on D-Day would be to continue to protect freedom and democracy everywhere. D-Day saw more than 150,000 Allied troops land on Normandy's beaches in northwest France on June 6, 1944. The Battle of Normandy, also known as Operation Overlord, was a turning point in World War II. Eventually, it helped bring about the defeat of Nazi Germany in May 1945. 98-year-old U.S. veteran Ray Lambert was a medic with the 1st Infantry Division and was in the first wave to land at Omaha Beach. Lambert traveled to Normandy like many other veterans to commemorate the 75th anniversary.
It's very important to me that that this day, 75 years after D-Day, that there's enough publicity about it, nothing going on, that some of the young people in the United States and other people that don't believe that sometimes you have to fight a war can realize what it took to get to freedom.
Amen to that. The day is remembered all over with special ceremonies taking place across Europe and the U.S. In France, U.S. soldiers dressed in World War II-era uniforms and retraced the steps that soldiers marched on that day, and a group of U.S. Rangers reenacted when Allied forces had to scale cliffs along Normandy cliffs. The historic D-Day invasion is being remembered in many ways, including by those who were actually involved in that historic battle. Chuck Holton brings us that story.
Military planes fill the skies over southern France, 75 years since the push began to liberate Europe from Nazi Germany. These men have come to commemorate the anniversary, along with hundreds of thousands of well-wishers on the ground. Among those paying their respects, dozens of D-Day veterans, all of whom are now in their mid to late 90s. But age is just a number to Tom Rice, a 97-year-old paratrooper who first landed here the morning of June 6, 1944 with the 101st Airborne Division. He's marking the day by reenacting that jump alongside a plane load of current members of his old unit. The landing isn't perfect, but Tom comes up smiling, proving he's still as tough as nails.
Great. Beautiful drive, beautiful jump, beautiful flight. Everything was perfect. That was hard going on the D-Day jump. I landed standing up for the most part and then went down to my knees and bounced a couple times because I had so much equipment. And I had a difficult time getting out of that equipment.
Down below, Rangers from the U.S. Army's 75th Ranger Regiment got a chance to climb the cliffs at Point de Hoc, a pivotal objective which was captured by American Rangers under heavy fire on D-Day.
For us, it was, we had the ropes, the cargo let. It wasn't a huge challenge, but I can only imagine the difficulties they saw on the single ropes with people shooting grenades, bombs going off. It would have been just an amazing thing to be able to do.
Veterans now in their 90s looked on as the Rangers climbed and remembered what it was like in 1944.
It brings back a few bad memories because the boys that got killed. That was pretty sad. In fact, I get angry when I think about it.
This is my 8th trip total, and well, it's a last hurrah. I'd be over 100 if we had an 80th, and I'm definitely not going to come here after my 80th.
Those privileged to be here say they're getting a better sense of the price paid by those who gave their lives on these beaches 75 years ago. And the current Ranger Regimental Commander reminds people there are still American heroes making those sacrifices today.
We don't talk about much, but the reality is that heroic actions are taking place on the modern day battlefield every single day. I see it against the modern day enemy, and it's pretty impressive. We don't talk about it much, but actions very similar to what occurred here are happening every day.
For CBN News, I'm Chuck Holton.
In other news, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said she wants to see President Trump, quote, in prison. Politico reports Pelosi made those remarks to senior Democrats at a meeting Tuesday night as she disagreed with House Judiciary Chairman Jerry Nadler. He reportedly pushed Pelosi to let his committee start an impeachment inquiry. But Pelosi still opposes that idea. She said, I don't want to see him impeached. I want to see him in prison. She wants Trump defeated in next year's election, then prosecuted for his alleged crimes. Senate Republicans are lining up on both sides when it comes to President Trump's plan to impose more tariffs on Mexico. Some believe they will hurt the U.S. economy, while others understand the need to stop the flow of illegal immigration. CBN Capitol Hill reporter Abigail Robertson has that story.
In a rare rebuke of the administration, Senate Republican leadership warns President Trump to abandon the proposed 5% increase on Mexican goods set to take effect Monday, or they'll vote to block them.
We're not fans of tariffs. We're still hoping that this can be avoided.
Trump has threatened to raise tariffs as high as 25% by October, and doesn't appear worried by party pushback.
No, I don't think they will do that. I think if they do, it's foolish. There's nothing more important than borders.
Although he could be misreading the GOP concern over how tariffs might affect the economy.
A veto might be overridden. That's my sense.
Texas Congressman Michael Cloud agrees with Trump that Mexico should step up.
There's a number of things that Mexico could do to be participating with this problem. Cartels have such an entrenched position in their country, and they've allowed it to fester into a cancer. And we'd be happy to partner with them in helping solve that problem.
And argues some good just might come from the president's threat.
The president threw out the idea of imposing tariffs, and it got Mexico on the plane the next day. So I think it's a negotiating strategy. We'll see. But the goal is to get Mexico to act.
Senator Mike Braun agrees.
And I think it's refreshing to see that there's a new dynamic to where we just won't keep kicking everything down the road.
But hopes the tariffs never take effect.
I would hate to see it put in peril, the replacement for NAFTA.
Arguing Mexico is one of our biggest trading partners.
I think it also could have the effect of maybe impacting the economy, and that's the strongest thing that we've got to talk about to get President Trump reelected.
Despite strong Senate GOP opposition to tariffs they believe tax American consumers, the party's still united in supporting the president on border security.
President Trump is 100% right in terms of what we need to do at the border.
Senator Marco Rubio is breaking with party leadership, acknowledging in a tweet he doesn't like tariffs. But what alternative do my GOP colleagues have to get Mexico to secure its southern border? Trump signaled this week he's not bluffing and believes it's more likely the tariffs take effect Monday than reaching a solution through negotiations, creating a strong possibility of the first veto override of his presidency. Reporting from Capitol Hill, Abigail Robertson, CBN News.
A Christian school in California is facing a huge battle with the state. Pacific Justice Institute is representing Riverview Christian Academy, which was raided earlier in the year, SWAT style, by the state. When the raid did not uncover some apocalyptic end-time scenario, as the state was led to believe, the state did not stop and is fining the school daily with claims of improper licensing. PJI attorney Kevin Snyder says that is not accurate and that the school is being targeted because it's part of a ministry called Teen Rescue, which serves at-risk youth. He wrote, "In 25 years of practice, I have never seen this level of aggressive, militant, and ideologically driven conduct by a state agency against a religious institution." Coming up, in the middle of the debate over abortion, what one pro-life group says is even more important than seeing laws changed.
Introducing the CBN Bible from CBN.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary, or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. All the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.
It has the power to influence weight loss, boost your immune system, and improve brain function.
We've seen an explosion of data on the role of the gut microbiome in health.
The free Build a Better Gut booklet reveals the latest information about the gut microbiome. You'll discover how your gut affects the rest of your health.
The gut microbiome has been linked to depression and cancer and heart disease.
Learn how to build a stronger, healthier gut.
The microbiome, if it's in good composition, are really protecting us all the time from more invasive things.
Get the Build a Better Gut booklet, free from the Christian Broadcasting Network. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut.
You need to make sure that your microbes are working with you, not against you.
And if you order online, you'll get immediate access to the Build a Better Gut series, a digital copy of the booklet, and related bonus material. Build a Better Gut today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut for your free copy.
Here, we're committed to a heritage of rigorous scholarship dating back over 1,000 years.
And to a faith tradition dating back 1,000 more.
This is how we create a culture of inquiry where no topic is off limits.
And a culture of hope.
Anything's possible! It's Christian leadership.
And it's changing the world for the better.
It's higher learning.
It's greater knowing.
It's what makes us whole.
It's what makes us Regent.
The Trump administration is ending fetal tissue research at the National Institutes of Health, but government-funded research at some private universities will continue for now. The Department of Health and Human Services said it's seeking to consider both pro-life and pro-science perspectives in its decision. Many scientists say it helps fight diseases, while pro-life advocates say it's immoral and unethical. The Supreme Court seems to be signaling its intent to wait on the abortion issue at a time when more than a dozen abortion cases are in position to possibly be heard by the court. Last week, it rejected one abortion ban case out of Indiana. Our Heather Sells spoke with Roland Warren, president of the pro-life group CareNet, about these legal battles, what's at stake, and what he believes really needs to be at the heart of the movement.
So tell us, the Supreme Court has decided not to review a law that would ban abortions based on sex, race, or disability. Do you think the High Court is signaling that it doesn't want to take on an abortion case right now?
Well, with the court, it's hard to know, but I could say from my perspective, it's very troubling because, the law in Indiana really in a lot of ways was one that was, although it's important, but there's a more symbolism in it. Because frankly, if someone wanted to have an abortion because of a race or because of, disability or sex selection, I mean, essentially they could just say, I'm going to have the abortion and not tell the reason and then obviously get around the law. So the fact that the court wasn't willing to step into a case where that was probably in a lot of ways for many folk could get around it or maybe has more of a symbolism aspect to it is troubling, given that the other laws that are on the books coming from Alabama, for example, are much more direct and much more specific in terms of banning or eliminating abortion.
Mm-hmm. We've got a lot of laws across the country right now. States are really rising up and passing these laws that restrict abortion, with a lot of them the hopes that the Supreme Court might take them on as a vehicle to overturn Roe v. Wade. What do you think is the best strategy to overturn Roe v. Wade?
Well, it's interesting. From my perspective, I mean, one of the things I want to make sure folks are clear about is that, the goal of the pro-life movement, frankly, should not be overturning Roe v. Wade. Now, don't get me wrong. The strategy should be to overturn Roe v. Wade, but the goal for the whole movement should not be. It really should be more focused on us wanting to have kids to have, frankly, from a Christian perspective, what Christ wanted for all folks to have abundant life. Because if you overturn Roe v. Wade, that's not going to overturn sex outside of marriage. It's not going to overturn, unplanned pregnancies. And I want to make sure that we are focused on really being prepared to win and that we've defined winning properly. And from my perspective, certainly from a CareNet perspective, winning really means about kids not just having life, but having abundant life consistent with God's design, which is a very specific call to the church.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me circle back on that ultimate goal with you in just a minute. But as it pertains to the court, is there a particular way or thought that you have as to what is the best way to overturn Roe v. Wade?
Well, I mean, there's a number of different strategies, and certainly there are a number of different folks that are working against them. I think a lot of the cases that are coming through certainly have an approach to sort of get at of this legal perspective in a big way. And so I don't have any objections with any of that. I think that's an important part of what we need to be doing, which is a legislative and political approach to this issue. But ultimately, as I kind of said before, I mean, ultimately, from a Christian perspective, our goal should be much broader than that, much broader than overturning Roe v. Wade. It should be making sure that the kids have an opportunity for the blessings of liberty, certainly, which is enshrined in our Constitution, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, which is in our Declaration of Independence. All those things, from my standpoint, transcend a perspective that just kind of focuses on the court decision, but focuses more on what we do after the court decision, and frankly, what we do before court decisions to make us really prepared for overturning Roe v. Wade.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point, too. Talk a little bit about CareNet, because I know your approach is a little bit different from other pro-life organizations.
Yeah, we our focus really is on a perspective of not just being pro-life, but being pro-abundant life. And it's really anchored in the gospel, John 10:10, where Christ says, like, you might have life and have it abundantly. And really what he's talking about there is not just having physical life, but also having a unique type of spiritual life that only comes from a relationship with Christ. And so as a Christian, as we think about the life issue, we have to think about it in that context. I mean, you can be an atheist and be pro-life, but you can't be an atheist and be pro-abundant life. So we talk about heartbeats that are heaven-bound, which is a broader narrative. And so, for me, a lot of that really comes back, certainly from my perspective as a Black person. I mean, there's a movement that people talk about a lot, similar to the life issue, which is the abolitionist movement, which was really focused on overturning the laws related to slavery. But it really wasn't focused on the broader goal, which was really making sure that Black folks had opportunities for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness and the blessings of liberty. And so when slavery ended, most Black folks, or many, went off of plantations as slaves and went back on as sharecroppers, and we had Jim Crow and all those kinds of things. So if you have the wrong goal, then you can run into problems. So again, strategy is to abolish slavery, but the goal should have been that Black folks have the same blessings of liberty. I think we have the same kind of dynamic on the life issue. It's not just
wow. Yeah, I would have never thought of all that perspective. Well, Roland Warren, we are out of time, but thank you so much for your insights.
Still ahead, why a major archaeological find may have unearthed a lot of new questions for today.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com. Want to be a part of a community that inspires your spiritual growth while winning prizes? The all-new myCBN app. Connect with the community for prayer and encouragement. Track and set spiritual goals. Enjoy conversation starters with friends and family. And collect points to win prizes. The all-new myCBN app. A great place to belong. Download the app at cbn.com/mobile. Grow, connect, have fun. The all-new myCBN app.
Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs, from health to entertainment, you won't find anywhere else. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Enjoy credible news reporting from around the world. Discover inspiring programs and stories of hope, all in one place, from a Christian perspective. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Check your local listings or visit cbnnewschannel.com.
Come home to the sounds of Southern Gospel from CBN Radio. You'll enjoy a rich Southern blend of bluegrass, classic gospel, and Southern gospel favorites like the Gaithers, the Crab Family, and bluegrass sounds like Mountain Faith. So make yourself at home with the all-new CBN Southern Gospel, now available at cbnradio.com.
A major archaeological discovery raised a big question in Israel. CBN's Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell takes a look at when a modern highway and an ancient town came to a crossroads.
No one expected to find the biblical town of Bet-Shemesh from the time of Isaiah and Hezekiah.
We thought that the Assyrians destroyed, and it took years for us to come back, and that everyone left and there was no one here. But that's not true. And we know it's not true because we have these finds.
Archaeologists thought a much earlier site on the other side of the road was all there was to Bet-Shemesh. But before expanding a highway, they excavated and found a treasure.
What they understood from the finds is that after the city of Bet-Shemesh was destroyed in the year 701 by Sennacherib, king of Assyria, a very, very famous historical and biblical event, a new settlement was founded, not on the top of the mound, but on the slope, on the eastern slope of the mound.
The road also connects to the Elah Valley, where David killed Goliath, and Bet-Shemesh is associated with the return of the Ark of the Covenant to Jerusalem.
We can read the Bible, we can study history, we can learn archaeology, but when all of those three elements come together, then we have the proof of that history and that historicity of the biblical text.
Jar handles with royal seals, smashed figurines, and other artifacts from the site are on exhibition at the Bible Lands Museum in Jerusalem. But there's more to the story.
The progress that is required to build a new nation with housing and roads and infrastructure requires digging down and building new things.
Modern-day Bet-Shemesh is about 20 miles outside Jerusalem. It has a population of about 110,000 and is growing fast.
It's complicated because I want to protect the road. I want to protect the site, and I need to find the way to protect both of them.
Archaeologists and developers knew they had to work together and fast.
The reality is that people need homes and roads need to be created, and there's this balance, there's this debate in how do we do it.
And they came up with a compromise plan to alter the road and still preserve the historical site with the hope of developing the past for future generations. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Coming up, an amazing story of the power of the gospel you don't want to miss.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
On October 1st, 1961, history was made when a tiny station began transmitting the first signals of the Christian Broadcasting Network.
CBN, the Christian Broadcasting Network.
And now, a new era has begun with the all-new CBN News Channel.
Just moments ago, the Iron Dome intercepted an incoming rocket right on the Gaza border.
And ministering in this area, spiritual warfare is definitely involved.
A 24/7 news network, bringing you the news you want from a source you can trust.
In Kenya, 40% of the medical services are actually provided by these Christian hospitals.
Let's talk about the economy.
Believers here are joining together to win people to Jesus Christ.
All your favorite shows now in one place. Go to CBNNewsChannel.com to find out how to get the CBN News Channel on your TV all day, every day. CBN News.
Several gang and drug cartel members who are in solitary confinement were baptized recently at a Texas prison. Normally, they are not allowed out of solitary, but were granted the privilege for their baptisms. The Gateway Caulfield Prison campus pastor Niles Holsinger told Fox News that the men literally risked their lives to make the public statement of faith. For these guys to come in, and they were so humble and gentle, to see them walking out trembling, afraid for their life, but they did not regret the decision. One of the men told the pastor, "I have tried it my way my whole life and it's gotten me here. I want to try it God's way. We're going to come out of the water as new men." Gateway Church, pastored by Robert Morris, has multiple campuses in Texas and one in Wyoming, and it opened the one at Caulfield Prison last November. One inmate in a church video about the ministry told them what a difference it's made.
Gateway has really impacted my life because a lot of us do not have visits, and you guys coming in here and sharing y'all's love to us has really impacted our life.
That's what it's all about. The church reports more than 500 salvations at the prison. The need is great. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of Newswatch. Hope you'll join us next time. Until then, may God bless you.